This is just such a stupid video name. Hey buds, socialism done left here. I'm gonna watch the video Would Atheists Drink Their Dad's Sperm? Hashtag atheist logic. Because a fan of mine named Antizer, who also does Twitch streams and YouTube, you can find him out if you search Antizer, Antyzer, wanted me to review this video by Dawa Man, who is a street preacher for Islam. And it's just such a train wreck. It's an old video, and the way that they're coercing me to watch this video is whenever I ask for videos to debunk, they will always DM me this video, and it's really getting on my nerves. So, I'll be watching and debunking Would Atheists Drink Their Dad's Sperm? In short, I think my response will be no, but we will find out more details as we watch.
We stand firm, calling to Allah all the time. We let them know, bang, bang, cause it's dawah time.
I'm already done. Do I have to watch the rest of this video? Do I have to watch this? This intro, man. This fucking intro. Thank you for the subscription, hooker farts. You've really embraced the quality of the video we're going for.
Wake up, liberal. I love you.
The editing is really cute. This looks like something like a 10-year-old would put together, but the message is just so terrible. Look at it. Ew. Ew, they even highlighted it so it was glowing. Someone had to go through and edit it. Oh my god. Ew. Ew. Look at all this. Someone put so much effort into this. Someone put so much effort. Oh my god, like you've got like 3D fucking like pictures. You've got like nutrition facts. You've got info. Oh my god. Oh my god. Someone went through and did all this for this embarrassing video. Oh. That smiley face is pretty cute though. Props on that. Wait, I feel like there was a missed joke here. Look at the name of their fridge. I mean, come on, man, right? You see it. It's there again. If they actually show him drinking it, I'm actually gonna have to skip forward. This is so disgusting to me. Oh my god. Okay, I can't watch it. I'm gonna skip forward. Oh my god. Jolk Paul says atheists are cyborgs with scanning inside them. No, it's actually true, right? Like right now, I'm literally analyzing in real time the analytics of this channel. The Chad Muslim destroys cringe soy boy atheists with steel strong logic that looks like some of the most disgusting stuff I have ever seen. Holy shit. Maybe this is like a fetish thing. Maybe the reason they put so much editing into it is because despite all of their religious conservatism, they're actually really into this. Like, they actually went through and they had this guy actually drink it, right? Do you think that, like, do you think it was like a $5 I'll pay you and you'll do whatever I want sort of thing? And they like forced some random individual to go and drink some milk for their like their disgusting fetishes? To Meiji says, I'm getting some flashbacks to Japanese shit I didn't want to see. Okay, let's watch the actual video.
Sorry, I'm a bit confused. What on earth do you look so grossed out for? On atheism, there's nothing wrong with drinking your dad's sperm. You don't believe me? Look, let's break it down. There is no consequences, morally speaking, according to you guys, because it's not harming anyone and there's no risk. And secondly speaking, sperm's got nutritional value. So go drink your dad's sperm, man. What are you waiting for?
So I feel like one of the really interesting things that people like to do is this equivocation between.
Wake up,
So first
liberal.
off, let's just
I
start with
love
the
you.
first thing. No consequences. This is a classic thing that religious conservatives will say to atheists that, hey, without a God to guide your life, there is no way to ground your morality. I think that to some degree this is merited. It is extremely hard to prove moral realism in the absence of a God. However, in reality, the vast majority of even philosophers who spent a very long time thinking about this and understand full well it's really hard to prove moral realism, the vast majority of people, including the vast majority of atheists, have a personal moral system. The most common moral system that people actually behave under is basically a combination of utilitarianism and deontology. People think that their actions have consequences, and they evaluate those consequences in a utilitarian
Wake up,
fashion.
liberal. I love you.
People's brains are actually just a little bit hardwired to do this. It has nothing to do with religion. So, for better and worse, regardless of their religious beliefs, the vast majority of people actually do abide by some moral code. So this idea that people think there's no consequences just isn't true. However, I do think that there is some merit to what they're saying, that because this doesn't cause any harm to any other person, and because you believe, if you want to ground your values in like consequences, if you believe that something doesn't have negative consequences, you should be like morally permissed to do it. It's not a morally good thing or morally bad. It's what we call morally neutral or morally permissible. You can do it, but you have no obligation to do it, and there's no
Wake up, liberal.
prohibition against
I
it.
love you.
So, with that said, I do think that this is sort of the analogy. If you want to draw an analogy to other gross stuff, it would be like incest or consensual cannibalism, or like consensual non-consent, and a whole bunch of other things that some people find icky or gross. In general, we are okay with letting people do things in the privacy of their homes that is okay with those people, but we don't want those things to be morally enforced on other people. So in particular, because I have a strong negative reaction to this concept, would not do this, but I really don't care if other people are doing it and they don't make me look at it. In fact, one of the reasons I don't like this video is because this guy forced me to look at him doing it. As long as you don't force your sperm drinking on me, I am perfectly fine with it. Oh my god. Yes, Cinderin, proving moral realism is a futile endeavor. I think that, so I believe in some niche form of like pseudo-moral realism, but I think it is really hard to prove most forms of moral realism, and I don't even think that my form of moral realism is very strong. Hexilio, this will be your version of Destiny's incest debates. That actually could be an interesting thing, right? Just ask people, hey, what's the moral justification of not drinking sperm or whatever? Oh, STD transmission. I guess there is a risk. But then again, you could have ethically sourced sperm, right? You could go down to the local sperm market and get like an STD-free hooker, right? And like get their juice. You could find ways to get around this. Your own sperm, fair enough. Free range sperm, right? They weren't kept in a cage. They were allowed to grow free on the sperm range. Basically, I think the answer is, even if you believed in moral realism, even if you did believe in a god, the only way that you'd have some way to prove that drinking your own sperm was bad is if that god said that it was bad. There's no actual moral system which could lead you to believe that disgusting actions like this are innately morally wrong. Basically, you're just disgusted by them, which I'm disgusted by this. I wouldn't do it personally, but you don't actually have a moral objection to it. Let's see if he can raise a principled moral objection to this disgusting action.
According to you guys, because it's not harming anyone and there's no risk. And secondly speaking, sperm's got nutritional value. So go drink your dad's sperm, man. What are you waiting for?
It's interesting that they chose to make it your dad's sperm, just to make it even more disgusting. Like, they could have just had it be your own sperm, but they had to make it your dad, just to make it that one step more disgusting.
But you're not going to, are you?
This is one of the other things. Again, morally permissible doesn't mean you have to do it. I think it's perfectly morally permissible to do skydiving. I'm not going to do it. I really don't like the idea of skydiving. I'm like terrified of it. I'm not going to do skydiving. But I don't think there's anything morally wrong with skydiving. Again, people do this thing where, so you say something that is morally principled, therefore you want to do it, right? No, that's not what it means.
But why? I can understand how you're quite confused right now, because your worldview should make you feel comfortable with drinking sperm. But hold up, you feel like
Quote, the atheist worldview should make you comfortable drinking sperm. I firmly remember going to atheist Sunday school, and the priest the atheist priest sat us down and was like, tenet number 1 of atheism, being comfortable with literally every disgusting thing ever.
That's gross, I don't want to drink my dad's sperm, then could there be something wrong with your worldview? Let's discuss that. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ba'd. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, my brother.
So we have morals, we have good, we have bad, we have what
Incredible. True.
we ought to do, we have what we ought not to do. Where did our morals come from? They didn't come from nothing, did they? Because look, we're smart now. We're not going to behave stupid anymore. We're going to appreciate that things don't come from nothing. But we're not going to turn a...
That was such a bad cut. I have to laugh at that. So there's nothing in the corners of the screen.
We're not going to behave stupid anymore. We're going to appreciate that things don't come from nothing.
And then it cut into him doing a gasp, which they could have just like reduced the volume of. It just bothers me. This is one of those this video editing thing. That should have been so simple. Oh my God. I can imagine this dude teaching at my old Sunday school. I had arguments raised to me. I went in high school and middle school. I went to a private Catholic school because I got a scholarship there. And unironically, some of the arguments that people and teachers and priests would raise against gay marriage was the big thing is it's disgusting. Oh, so you think it's morally permissible for two men to fuck each other in the butts? That's gross, bro. That's kind of gay, bro. And they would also say like, oh, so you think it's morally permissible? So you want to fuck other men in the butts? And regardless of my moral position on it, my desire or lack of desire to fuck men in the butt, something being morally permissible does not mean that you are forced or have an obligation or even want to do something. His religious principles teach against good video editing. I've actually been surprised how good the video editing is on some of these extremely conservative Islamic and Christian channels. They must be getting a lot of money from somewhere. Catholic schools are really high ranking in terms of outcomes, and it makes me sad. Some are, some aren't. I know that mine was just good because it offered a lot of AP courses and it had good college acceptance rates. So it was worth it, I think, in the end, even though it did involve like mass and being indoctrinated with a bunch of stuff, which I was atheist at the time. It rolled off. This is true. Venom Jesus says religious fanatics tend to make their worldview revolve around hating things that they think are icky. LGBT phobia is basically just that. Yeah, no, there's a lot of evidence that one of the things that's really interesting, it's like super interesting, is people have, I want to say it's like 2 times higher homophobia against male-male same-sex relationships than against woman-woman same-sex relationships, because people are much more comfortable with 2 women fucking than they are with 2 men fucking. In fact, in the Bible itself, there is no moral prohibition on female-female homosexual sex, as far as I'm aware. It's only male-male sex that it opposes. Because it's just about it's about people's like innate moral values. It's because of poop. It's because people don't like the idea of like interacting with butts. They don't like the idea of 2 men together, in part because some people are morally disgusted by feminine men. They think that like receiving is feminine. They think that men acting feminine is disgusting, and so on. In Romans, there's a combination of lesbianism. I think it's in really vague terms. I think it's something like, I don't want to get into like the Bible debate, but in short, I don't think that there's actually a strong moral prohibition to lesbianism. But you could be right. It's been years since I've looked into this. And then the last thing I'll read. Urbane Density says, this is Jonathan Haidt and the sanctity dimension of his moral foundations. I totally agree. I think that Jonathan Haidt is totally correct on this one. He thinks that there's, I believe, 6 moral values, and one of them is this idea of disgust-based values, and conservatives have it and liberals just don't. So one of the big things that we're seeing is liberals like me, we just don't care about the disgust response, but conservatives really, really do. All right.
We're not going to turn a blind eye to them because they exist. They're in our faces. We use them each and every single day. Okay, good. So at least we're on the same wavelength.
To be clear, he's just saying we use morals because we're smart people. Sure, fine. I think people should use morals to guide their actions.
Okay. What are the explanations that atheists used to give for where our morals came from? Number 1, evolution. But then we came to realize, just by using our brains a teeny tiny bit, that evolution doesn't care about moral value. It cares about survival value. For example, the white nurse.
See, that was a really good cut there. They blended in from one to the other. Why couldn't they have done it before? What did they mess up?
Shark, when it wants to procreate, does it go and smoothly just walk over to the female white nurse shark and just chirps it a little bit like, what's going on, baby? You want to hit the pad and basically get...
I would pay actual money to see this guy do a 10-minute impression of what he thinks people hitting on other people looks like.
Jiggy, no! It forcefully copulates. In other words, it rapes. If our morals come from the exact same sociological, biological process that facilitates those morals for that white nurse shark, then what makes us so special that when we rape, it's wrong?
Wake up, liberal.
So,
I love you.
there's a disjunct here. So, can we lower his volume? Oh, sure, I can lower his volume. Sorry, I think the beginning of the video was a bit quiet. I can test out what it looks like here.
If our morals come from the exact same sociological...
Good point. I will lower his volume.
I love you.
So, again, there's a disjunct here. So when atheists and when evolutionary scientists, who often include Christians, say that our moral values come from evolution, they're not saying that what evolution encourages us to do is moral. They're saying that our sense of morality was shaped by evolution. We have a whole lot of evidence, and people call this evo-psych, but we also, it's reasonably... I think that it's reasonably well evidenced at this point that there's a lot of good reason to believe that human survival dynamics encouraged cooperation. They encouraged our ideas of fairness because groups which did not cooperate did not procreate as much, and so cooperation thrived. Fairness, which generally means that you have to put in work to get some sort of just rewards. You have to help hunt food or pick berries to get the rewards of that work. A lot of these ideas we have good reason to believe do come from evolution. This is not to say that everything that evolution encourages us to do is good. That's what's called the naturalistic fallacy, basically saying what occurs in nature is good, therefore that which does not occur in nature is bad, which is absurd. I think nobody would claim that, and in fact, what he is doing is equivocating. It's equivocating between what we're saying as a descriptive statement, like this is where our descriptive, human values, like the values that human brains kind of start out pre-programmed with, this is where those come from. And then there's the moral dimension. Nobody, I hope, in scientific research is doing the is-ought jump and saying this is what our minds are evolved to think like and therefore we should think like that. They're simply just saying this is how our minds work, not how they ought to work necessarily. This video title is really funny. No, this video is really funny. It's really, really funny. Atheism bad because shark rapes. True. Teeny tiny bit of brain power it takes to see that the soy atheist is cringe and on display.
Biological process that facilitates those morals for that white nurse shark, then what makes us so special that when we rape, it's wrong? No.
Because again, on the moral dimension, people aren't saying that what's natural is good, they're making moral arguments about what is or is not good. So in general, the vast majority of people who support deontic or utilitarian ethics will tell you that, hey, violating someone else's consent is really, really bad. That's why it's bad.
If that's where our morals come from, rape, murder, theft, all these things, at the most you could say are socially unconventional. The same way it is socially unconventional for a woman to wear Ronald McDonald lipstick when she goes to the club, or for a man to...
Again, I would pay so much money to see this guy do an impression of what he thinks people actually behave like at clubs, or, oh my god. Some people clown themselves, but oh my god.
Sit at a dinner table and fart, or for a guy to go play a game of football with his tuxedo on. You can't say these things are evil, they're wrong, he ought not to do this, or she ought not to do that. The most you can say is, I wouldn't, but if you really want to do that, then go for it.
Yeah, and that's what you should say about dumb things, about gross things, like people having weird sexual habits or weird food consumption habits. If someone wants to eat pineapple on pizza, that's morally permissible to me, as long as it doesn't harm other people, and in general, consumption like this doesn't. I just don't care. If he wants to raise a moral argument against pineapple on pizza, be my guest.
I'm not gonna murder him, but if you want to murder him, that's up to you. To each their own. Potato, potato, tomato, tomato. But we realize...
So again, the difference between murdering someone and eating pineapple on pizza is the very thing he pointed out at the beginning. One causes harm to someone else, one does not. Murdering hurts other people, pineapple on pizza only hurts, basically your personal sense of well-being, right? If you eat pineapple on pizza, there is something wrong with you, but to each their own.
That doesn't work, and evolution basically leaves us with that. So evolution flies out the window. The second
he must be too loud. There's no way he's not too loud, right? Pineapple is fine. Maggie, you're walking on thin ice here. Tommy, I can't even read that. Murder equals wearing lipstick. Good point. True. I agree. True. He's fine now? Oh, it's so good? No, it's good. Okay. Will you publish your collection of stats? Yeah, right here. All right, back to the video.
explanation that we have is, wait for it, social pressure. But social...
I'm going to preempt this again. What people are saying with social pressure is, again, people derive their moral values from a combination of how the brain is pre-built by evolution and how the brain is then built upon by social circumstances, by norms. There's a huge amount of research that norms shape the ways our societies work. There was a really interesting study that I was reading in my economic development class about how social norms shaped a whole bunch of banking practices among various banking families who often spanned multiple continents that were basically just norms passed down by their family on how to do proper banking. So they do shape how we act. But again, that's a descriptive statement. It's an is statement. It's not an ought statement. Simply saying this is how our family works does not necessarily mean this is how our family ought to work. Some people will make that argument. They're wrong.
Social pressure basically means that we believe things are good and bad, morally speaking, on the basis of what society tells us. But if that's the case, then that means you have to accept that when Hitler and his Nazis were doing what they were doing to the Jews, in other words, putting them in concentration camps, gas chambers with Zyklon B, when they were doing that at the time, because social pressure made them feel that it was the norm, morally speaking, it was the thing that they ought to do, that means you have to admit that at the time there was nothing wrong with what Hitler was doing.
That would be a really good argument against the very few people who genuinely argue that morals determined by society are genuinely the only morals you should follow. Very, very, very few people believe this. Again, if you just look at it, like empirical studies of how people behave in like experimental moral scenarios, it's basically something like 60% utilitarianism, 40% deontology. People don't behave, people do behave based on social pressure in terms of what they empirically do, right? So that's why they did what he's talking about. But very few people will argue that they ought to have behaved that way. People evaluate decisions with that combination of utilitarian and deontic logic, and they will say those were extremely poor decisions that neither improve the consequences of humanity in the long term. Needless death of millions of Jews has bad consequences for obvious reasons, or deontologically, they would say, hey, killing people, bad. Killing 6 million Jews, really, really bad. It's really not hard to argue against this if you have even like 101 level moral understanding. This video is such a meme. No, it's the problem with it is this video seems like a meme, but if you've ever gone to a religious school, this is how they teach. This is the kind of arguments they make. It's saying, hey, what about this disgusting thing? Isn't it really weird how it's disgusting? Well, guess what? Atheists will tell you evolution and social pressure, and I bet you he's going to say something like the government. Those are what tells you what's right and wrong, but actually the only thing that can tell you what's right and wrong is God. And so the reason that the disgusting thing is wrong is because God. It's a really stupid argument, but it's extremely common.
But nobody's going to do that because it was wrong then and it was wrong now. So what happens to social pressure? We kick it to the curb.
We kick it to the curb. I also just like the British accent here. It actually really adds some flavor to this, okay? This video, I don't actually know if this person is British, right? But if they are British, I just do want to say I think that provides one additional reason not to believe the content of this video.
So what's the explanation that people like Sam Harris put forth today? Consequentialism. What is consequentialism? A very crude understanding is that basically we look at the consequences of our actions, and if the consequences bring about good, then that's something that's morally good.
Yes,
and if
yes,
they
yes,
bring
yes,
about
yes,
something
yes.
bad, then that's morally bad. So that's basically how we do it. Well, in light of that, there's nothing wrong with drinking your dad's sperm.
True! He got it! The breakthrough! The madman! He figured it out! His mind! There was the wall of tradition, okay? And what's his name? Dawa Man, okay? Comes steaming through on the railroad of logic. Boom! He hits right through the wall. He breaks it in two. He's going through onto the other side of facts, logic, and drinking your dad's sperm. He's on through. He did it for us. He showed it. Guys, he solved it. Roll credits. It is funny that they do the ding sound, but I feel like he really wants his dad's sperm. One of my theories for why they did all of the really extensive filming at the beginning is exactly that. It's got to be some weird fetish thing. Vanya Ho says, I'm glad I found a streamer that shares my Anglophobic sentiments. I think it would be odder, in fact, if you found a streamer who didn't share your Anglophobic sentiments. Consequentialism is not all-encompassing. Depends on the type of consequentialism. Holy shit, this guy's going to solve the Twitter necrophilia discourse. True, he solved it. He fucking solved it. This madman in 30 seconds, boom, right through. Back to it.
Because the consequences are actually beneficial. There's nutritional value and
Yum, 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 yum.
there's no risk. No.
Wait, I forget. Is it... I know the people who are trans meme on this. Does sperm contain estrogen or testosterone? Is that like a meme? because I thought there was like some big thing, some like big meme among various trans communities that like FTM, like females who want to have a more masculine body and like transition to like to being a man, that they would meme about like drinking loads of sperm, but I don't even remember. I know that was also a meme among 4chaners. They were like, you want testosterone supplements? Simply drink a gallon of sperm. It's testosterone. Oh, I'm thinking of soy. That's right. No. So drinking soy is yeah, no, you're dead right. Drinking soy is what the FTM the MTFs do, right, to get the true soy boy aesthetic, like your boy.
One's gonna get harmed. Your dad's basically gonna have a good bash. He's gonna enjoy a nice orgasm.
I fucking love some Britishisms. Your dad's gonna have a good bash in it. He's gonna just bop his nuts into that bottle.
Gonna get harmed. Your dad's basically gonna have a good bash. He's gonna enjoy a nice orgasm, and you're gonna enjoy some nice nutritional value. So the benefits outweigh the losses. So
True. In fact, I totally agree, right? You are morally obligated to drink.
go and drink your dad's sperm. Don't be such a hypocrite. Go and basically have intimate relationships with your mum and your sister, because there's nothing wrong with it. That's
Wait, he's actually broaching the incest topic. We should get Dawa Man to debate Destiny. Wait. Alright, I just need to... One moment. I need to... DMing Destiny real quick. Hey, this guy thinks incest is morally wrong. You should pull him up for a debate. That would be incredibly funny. I don't know that I'm like a hardcore Destiny fan, but Destiny's incest arguments are really, really funny because people just have the absolute worst takes on how to like oppose incest or how to oppose stuff like this, right? Like people just have no ability to actually understand how to apply morals. It's incredibly stupid. All right, let's finish it off. Haha.
That's why people like Lawrence Krauss said, rationally speaking, I don't see something wrong with incest.
Why is incest wrong?
It's not clear to me that it's wrong.
Go and
How is this channel? Like, I know that it's bad faith. I know it's stupid conservative religious arguments based on poor logic, but why would they clip him and not even just let him finish the sentence? Oh, come on, man.
basically engage in pedophilic acts. That's why.
So let me help you guys out here, okay? So the argument that incest is morally neutral is that in certain circumstances you could find an edge case that maybe incest has no morally bad consequences. Therefore, it's morally permissible. 99% of the time, if you look at studies, incest is a huge cause of pedophilic behavior. Incest is actually a really, really big problem. One of the reasons why there are strong incest laws is in part to protect children. And so even if sometimes the behavior is morally permissible, the reason we have strong social norms and laws against it is to protect children, particularly young girls. And I'm totally in support of those. The argument that's morally neutral just relates to those edge cases where you've got two 25-year-old identical sibling, female college student, people with equal wealth and no power disparities, and they're both infertile, so even if one of them could produce semen, right, like it'd be possible for them to get the other pregnant, so there's no risk of genetic harms, there's no power imbalance, they're both perfectly mentally well. You can find this like absolute niche case, and you can say there's nothing inherent to incest that's bad with it. It's all the other things that correlate with incest, which is why we ban the practice. And that's dead on. So what's the difference between incest, which has the edge case where it is morally permissible, and pedophilia? In short, it's that in pedophilia, there is no edge case. There is no case in which two individuals, one adult, one a child, would ever be able to have meaningful, consensual, sexual intercourse because there's such a power imbalance between the two. The adult is physically, financially, mentally, and so on stronger, has more power than the child, and it is just never possible for that to be morally acceptable. Again, this is why we have such strong laws against it. That's the basic explainer. It's really not hard to understand this. In fact, Destiny is literally correct on this one, that the incest thing is something you will get taught, or something along its lines, in like a Morals 101, a Philosophy 101 course on morals. Because it's such a simple way to explain to people that just because you're disgusted by it doesn't make something inherently wrong. I don't know. Again, this one's actually a slightly more advanced thing. I can get maybe why some people don't get this, because some other adults don't get the whole incest morally neutral thing. Most of the arguments were very stupid, simple, religious arguments. This one's like one step above, but it's not really hard to get when you look at it with a modicum of genuine interest in the topic. Strong. Yeah, no, strong. Like physically, like the adult can overpower the child. There's no meaningful consent between people with like large age differences, where one is an adult and one's a child. Yeah, no, it's really bad. I never knew how to articulate a coherent argument against it. I would just gesture broadly. I mean, the argument against. So again, the argument is not that something is always bad. The argument. So like, let's say that we legalize murder. There are edge cases to murder. Sometimes sometimes murder is morally good. Like, let's say that there's some guy who's like torturing peasants or something, right? And you're like a peasant and you rise up and you kill this guy. It could genuinely be morally good to kill that person and reduce the suffering of many, many people, right? The difference, the reason why we ban it is because 99% of the time, murder is not going to be morally acceptable. And in fact, one of the reasons why I support nonviolent revolution, as it were, or nonviolent reform so strongly is because murder and revolution and violent action has such a high likelihood of causing these negative outcomes, of causing the breakdown of democracy and of good functioning society. So I think that the easy way to understand these things is we ban things when the risk is so much larger than the reward. Base Charsky says it's more often bad than good. Yes, and it's that with murder, if it's 99% of the time bad and 1% of the time good, it's like an enormous ratio difference. For some things, like we legalize the driving of cars. Driving cars kills people. It objectively leads to around 30,000 deaths a year, right? But we legalize it because the good outweighs the bad. The ratio of the good, which is something like economic consequences, let's say it's like 2 to 1 to all the deaths. So these are very simple consequentialist arguments. Again, these are the kinds of things where if you just step back for a moment and you try to analyze them rationally or objectively, it is not hard to find these conclusions. I don't think anyway. And it's frustrating that street preachers like this guy, who has a reasonably large platform, don't even do that basic level of introspection.
Richard Dawkins says, I don't see there to be a problem with things like mild pedophilia.
Mild pedophilia. I don't even want to know. This sounds like a disgusting comment. I do not support this whatsoever. As an atheist, I disavow Richard Dawkins, okay?
Of course there's a problem. Let me give you a very vivid, crude example. Forgive me.
He's gonna do an actual, he's gonna fucking walk through an example of it. Oh my God.
For painting this picture, but sometimes you need to really drive the point home by taking you outside the box. Here's the example. On consequentialism, according to Sam Harris's morality, according to Professor Krauss.
Why didn't they just re-record that? Come on, man.
Richard Dawkins, the leading atheist of the world, according to their morality, there's nothing wrong with you basically lying a 1-year-old baby in front of you and basically
I wonder if I can skip past this because I don't think this is very useful content. Not content. I think that this might be traumatic. We're gonna skip here. I think his argument is quite clear. The consequences of pedophilia, bad, not hard. We're gonna skip him having some. So he had a whole 2 segments of showing someone drinking semen. We skip past that because it's disgusting and it adds nothing to his argument. We're gonna skip past him describing in graphic detail pedophilia.
Human beings, right? We're human beings, and I know you find a problem with all the examples that I've given because you're not weird. We have the same blood running through.
Not weird is explicitly a reference to social pressure, so shouldn't be a moral argument.
Our veins, the same head, the same brain inside of it, the same consciousness.
I gotta stop here. It's really funny to me that it keeps popping up this little like tagline thing, empiricism, dad's sperm. It just looks like the most stupid possible news headline. Also, Dawa man poggers.
We have the same morality. So I'm not having a go at you. I'm just trying to make you understand how crude this understanding of the world is from an atheistic perspective. So then what is our explanation and understanding of where our morals came from? My dear
Allah.
Beloved friends, brothers and sisters, the only explanation for where our morals came from is that they are grounded and anchored and based and founded upon a higher moral agent that instilled them to us, because society doesn't dictate them, evolution sure as hell doesn't, and consequences...
Did he just swear? In my child-friendly video describing drinking dad's sperm and describing in graphic detail an example of pedophilia, did he just swear? I don't think I can allow this on my channel. What the hell are we watching? An ex-Muslim friend of mine asked me that I drink this video, would atheists drink their dad's sperm, from Dawa Man, who is a street preacher for Islam. It was really funny at the beginning, and now it's actually just kind of gross. It's really disgusting. Both in like a moral perspective, I think that describing heinous actions is a little bit morally disgusting, and also just disgusting because it's really stupid.
Of our actions, rational thought process like that sure as hell doesn't. The only option we're left is that Allah instilled these morals inside of us from when we were born.
So, the brief objection to just saying the hey, you can't ground your moral norms, hey, you can't prove that your morality is good, but God can. The brief objection to this is, what's his face? I can't remember the name for this, but there is a dilemma. The basic question is what God believes is moral because it is, in fact, morally real, right? Is God believing the correct morality? Or is it moral because what God believes is moral is, in fact, moral? The basic dilemma, again, in short, is does God simply choose the correct morality, which is set by a higher set of principles even than God, because what is morally real is something that he's just choosing the correct one of? Or does God actually set what's morally real? Does God determine what is morally wrong or morally right? And the problem is, if you pick answer 2, if what God believes just becomes moral or immoral, then your morality is no longer objective. God is just another subjective agent choosing between one morality and another, unless you can prove that God's choice is objective. And the only way you could prove that God's choice was objective would be if it were case 1, where God was choosing his moral system based on some overlying moral logic, of which there are correct and incorrect moral systems to choose. So, in short, appealing to a God doesn't actually get you out of any of this. You could take God out of the equation and you'd still be left with the question, how do you find the set of rules to decide what is moral and what is not moral? What a good moral statement is, what a good system of morality is, you need to find those rules. God does not, in fact, ground those. This is a very basic dilemma. Again, this is the sort of stuff you would come up on in like a Morality 101 course in college. I don't know. This is just your standard conservative religious talking points. It's really, really stupid. Alexander Tersakian. I just drank my dad's sperm. Checkmate, atheists. Dude, you know what would troll me so hard? It would be if this dude like drank his sperm. I think I would own the libs so damn hard. Could I drink this video? That was always really irritating to me. Even if God existed, that literally wouldn't change my morals at all. Yeah, no, it's the way you could think about it is this. Imagine that the Greek gods existed. Zeus exists, Poseidon exists up somewhere, right? All of the gods that live in the Greek god world exist. Just because they exist doesn't make their opinions any more valid unless they have a good reason to hold those opinions. And if there's a good reason to hold those opinions, you should hold those opinions regardless of whether the gods exist. Based Charsky says, drinking the sperm to own the libs sounds like my average afternoon. Well, Based Charsky, I have to say that is rather gay, my good sir. Wait, I need to do the atheist thing. Tip, 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 tip. All right, let's keep it going.
I leave you with that. Please, accept Allah as your one creator, master of the heavens and the earth. Or at least come to appreciate that there is a divine there. That's half the job done already. But if you continue to reject that, then please, give your dad a bottle and tell him to have a bash. And you...
I actually just think that's really funny out of context. Just going up to your dad, giving him like a bottle, and just being like, hey, go jerk off, would be one of the funniest possible things you could do. They'd be so confused.
Enjoy a nice drink. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Share
Salam alaikum, brother. Salam fucking alaikum.
this video, like this video. Brother Imran Ibn Mansour. Peace!
Well, that certainly was a video. Dad, please come in this. Dad, please. Dad's gonna cause a run. This dude's gonna cause a run on the sperm banks. All the atheists watch this video and just run outside. They're running outside just to drink it up. The comments are God tier. Should I scroll down? No, the comments are turned off. You lied. You lied. Oh my God, this guy. How do I ban him? Ban him. This is morally permissible. Okay, I just explained drinking sperm, morally permissible. Okay, you gotta go do it. Anything that's morally permissible, in fact, you have to do it. That's what it says. Morally permissible actually means morally objectively right. Base Charsky says, problem? I feel a little bad for this. Like, why would you even keep this video uploaded? You know that people are just gonna mock you for this. Like, no one who watches this video is going to take the rest of your videos seriously. Just take it down. Just take the L. Look at the dislikes. Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy. 14,500 dislikes to 2,500 likes. Who would like this video? Oh my god, maybe it's people who have the fetish. Maybe they're just watching the first 2 minutes. They're just thinking about that glowing dad sperm, right? Dad fucking went to Chernobyl, he put his nuts on the reactor, right? And he came right back home and you're ready for a drink. That's what they're thinking about right here. Right now. SDL, make a drinking your dad's sperm super chat. That'd be horrible. The first tenet of atheism is that if it's morally permissible, then it must be done. I do agree, K-Doc. JSM I'm telling you, it's projection. No, I agree with some of this. There are some really interesting high-level examples of what's it? Back in the 90s and the early aughts, the early zeros in the United States, there was this big ex-gay movement, and so there was this guy. Oh, I think I have it in here actually. Yeah, no, there was this really interesting. The two founders of the ex-gay movement, I shouldn't say founders, two of the most influential ex-gay people who said, hey, I'm a lesbian, hey, I'm homosexual, like gay, and they left the movement. They decided to come back and be straight to prove that gay is actually a choice, which it is not. You can't, I shouldn't say that. For very few people do they have the motivation to actually change their sexuality, and the people that it applies to are not representative of the people in general. You cannot, for the vast majority of people, meaningfully change their sexuality via therapy or personal choices. Sexuality is basically determined by your biology, which in turn is mostly basically, in this respect, determined by hormones in the womb and genetics. Being gay or being straight is fundamentally not your choice, for better and worse. It is a biological fact of who you are. So the two people who are most influential in trying to claim otherwise, that you can choose to be gay or not, Ann Polk and John Polk, who's this guy. He lived for around 15 years as ex-gay. Then in I think 2004, he got caught at a gay bar in Washington, D.C. And then a few years later, he left the ex-gay movement. So now he's an ex-gay man. He's just a regular gay man, and he looks so adorable. I love him now, right? This cute guy, he deserves to be getting reamed every day by a big daddy bear. Oh my god. I don't think that he should be drinking dad's sperm, but I do think that he should be drinking daddy's sperm. He deserves all the sperm. This man deserves every sperm that he wants. I love this man. What a cute dude. That comment should get me banned. You claim to be an atheist, yet you don't want to drink my cum? A little bit suspicious there. I think using words like reamed might have a little bit of latent homophobia. Look, I'm reclaiming the word reamed. I just can't handle this. This is all just too absurd. With all that, brief recap. If you believe in any moral realist framework, you would not accept the conclusion of this video that everything is permissible if you don't believe in God. Even if you believe in a God, God should not determine your beliefs in morality, because God cannot set the objective rules for morality unless you have some reason to think that whatever God does is objectively right. You have no reason to believe so, at least not in this video, certainly. And as a result, you should not believe that God's decision, were he to make any decision about morality, is meaningful. The only reason you should accept or reject a moral argument is if it is based on valid, universally applicable rules. Proving that morals are in fact real, what's called moral realism, is really, really difficult. However, the vast majority of people do act as if, in fact, their morals were real. Most people act basically as a mixture of utilitarianism and deontology. And so this is the reason why, even if people believe something to be morally permissible, many people don't do some things, either because they think it's immoral or because personally they don't have any desire to do so. That's the basic takeaway. This video is really stupid. It's your standard conservative dogma, but it's dressed in a really, really funny wrapper because this guy is, one, really dumb, and two, he decided to make it about drinking cum. And with that, that's gonna be the end of the VOD I upload to YouTube. Holy shit.